Okay, I don't think it's rubbing anymore.
No, it's not. Is it pronounced poem or pome? P-O-M-E?
Well, when you're from Alaska, it's poem.
Have I read this one? No.
Yes.
I have not read this one.
Yes, you have.
I challenge that. How do you pronounce this word?
Poem.
Welcome to Namely 90s. Wow. The podcast that takes you back to the time before smartphones, Google, and Y2K. Join your hosts as they relive the pop culture that shaped a generation and the parts that many people wish they could forget. Listen in to the conversation about how the decade defined those who spent their childhood there and how it shaped them as adults. So, turn down the grunge and dial up the internet. Let's get started. It's time for Namely 90s.
That's right. You're listening to Namely 90s. My name's Andrew, and over there we've got Brandon.
That's me.
You can find us online at namely90s.com, or you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at namely90s with a 90s. This show also is available on YouTube. We record it each week, and you can find it there at namely90s.com/YouTube. It's a great way to watch the show. You get to see stuff that we're talking about and see our beautiful faces. Phases. I almost said faces like the plural was different somehow. I don't know. There's something wrong with me. Anyway, those are the places you can find us. And so this just off the bat, we haven't done this for a couple of weeks, so I am stumbling over every word that I'm saying. It's terrible. This is the April 1990 episode 47. As we quickly approach our 1 year podiversary. Is that a word that people use?
Possibly.
Let's not.
Did you say let's not? Okay.
We can use, it's fine. Podiversary sounds stupid, but we can use it.
I think we've been saying anniversary spectacular.
So what have you been up to since we saw each other last, which was many weeks ago at this point?
Yeah. I don't know if C is the right word because you're hidden behind a bunch of tabs on my...
Yeah, true.
On my computer. Well, let's see. I went to Arizona for Easter and finally got to see.
The only positive number that is both the sum and the product of the same two integers. 4 is the only number whose name in English has the same number of letters in its name as itself.
Is that Siri?
No, that's Alexa.
Tell Alexa to keep it down.
Did it sound like I said her activation word?
No.
Wow. I've been in, I was in Arizona for about a little over a week, for Easter. My niece and nephew were on spring break and they went down to visit my aunts, who have all retired to, an area out there near Tucson. And, it was the first time I made it out there, and one aunt's been living out there for almost 6 years, an aunt and an uncle. So it was about time I made it out, to see where they are all living now.
Is it hot AF?
It wasn't terrible. I think it hit mid-90s at some point, but after the first day or two, you kind of get used to the temperature.
Sure.
But yeah.
And you successfully were not stung by a scorpion?
No scorpions, no rattlesnakes.
Good.
I even went out and played disc golf twice in Tucson, which is basically just going into a desert and throwing a frisbee. So I did see one scorpion while I was out disc golfing.
Ugh, creepy.
No snakes. They are creepy with the little tiny ones that are translucent that you can only see with a black light.
You're supposed to look in your shoe before you put it on or dump your shoe out. It's one of those things that I heard if you live in those areas.
It's a good call.
There could be a scorpion in your shoe.
My aunt gets a bug guy that comes in and sprays around her house once a month or once every 3 months. I don't know. So
nice.
she didn't have any creepy crawlies in the house or around the house. What about you? It has been like 3 weeks. We should have done like an improv warm up before we started.
Apparently the seasons have changed. It's now sunny out, which is amazing.
Wow.
I forgot. Apparently there's like a thing when you live in a cold climate where you have to get your irrigation system blown out.
Yeah.
Before winter, otherwise it'll freeze and bust the pipes.
Yeah. Weren't you trying to do that at
So
one point?
I got that done.
Mm-hmm.
I got my blowout. And then, so I missed my appointment to have my water turned back on, which I thought was just flipping the switch. But it turns out they have to like turn nipples and, well, I mean, like on the, but you know what I mean? Apparently there's like screws that you have to turn and bleed screws or something like that. And they were like supposed to come out, but I forgot to turn my water back on. They're like, okay, we can come out in 9 weeks. I was like, okay, so my grass is just going to be brown for the next 2 months. So I had to figure out how to fiddle with these little screws and turn on my water myself. But
sounds like the bleed screws are to help the oxygen push out while the water.
Yeah, the air. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. You open them so that the air like is able to escape. So if it expands, it doesn't burst.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. And then the other thing I thought was interesting is we just added those, those metered on ramps that we have in the Seattle area. So they just added a few of those here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, we're officially a big city now because we have them.
Wow.
And all that effectively does is just pushes the traffic back onto the surface streets. And then the freeway's still backed up. So I'm not really sure why.
You said traffic when you sent me your location, and I was like, doesn't seem like you're in traffic. It's green all the way to your studio.
It didn't show that. So it was weird. I like got on, used the metered ramp, got on, and then it always stops like at this Freya Thor Street spot because it's like a bunch of morons trying to merge on. I don't know why. Anyway, metered on ramps didn't help. It just made the on ramp backed up. So
is that not what they're supposed to?
I guess. I don't know. Anyway, so that's been fun. People don't like new road things in this area, like the roundabouts. They just can't. They just can't figure it out. And then I saw a guy in a big truck at the Sonic drive-in. You guys have Sonic down there, right?
Not near me.
Well, anyway, it's a drive-in. And instead of like backing out of the angled stall.
It's a national chain. I'm aware of what a Sonic is.
Instead of backing out and like driving through the parking lot, he just thought it would be funny to just pull forward, like drive over all the curbing with his giant truck into the alley that I was trying to drive down. So then he'd like back over the curb to go back into the Sonic parking lot so I could drive through. And it's like, or why don't you just drive in reverse and leave like a normal person? But it was a bunch of like really overweight 30s dude, like guys in their 30s with goatees. So I wasn't surprised that they were doing this at the same time. Wait,
so I'm confused at the orientation of this. There's an alley by the Sonic in which
so you're angled parking opposite the Sonic, because there's like the side near the Sonic and the side away from the Sonic that has the little ordering things.
No, the only Sonics I've seen it's all the ordering things are around the main.
Oh, see, this one's different. So you drive in, the buildings to your left, there's several angled stalls there that you can pull under the awning and like be right by the building.
Right.
And then across the way to the right is angled parking. That's also got like an awning, but it's detached from the building.
Oh,
so you
I've
have
not
like
seen
angled
those
spots with menus over there, which then is alongside an alley. And so he just decided to drive over the giant curb and like gravel embankment with his big broy truck.
That makes more sense for the roller skating service portion of the Sonic Drive-In.
And then I was driving through and someone on roller skates just stopped in front of me and bent down to pick up a quarter or something, and I almost ran into her.
I can't tell if that was real or not.
It was. It really was.
So anyway, after the giant truck had plowed into the alley, she also skated into the alley and bent over in front of you to pick up a quarter.
No, I was driving by the Sonic, so it was like in the aisle. It's complicated, but she was just like skating, not looking around, and she just like started trying to pick up a penny when there were a bunch of cars coming. It was like, or a quarter or whatever it was. I don't know. I was too far away. I have old man vision. I can't tell what coin it was. This has been a lot to talk about Sonic. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. That actually segues great into our first thing for what is it? April 1990.
Or talking about our 1 year special versary.
Well, you shifted away from that like
I'm sorry.
5 to 7 minutes ago.
I had to talk about Sonic, damn it. Okay, fine.
That was 3 topics ago.
I'm sorry.
We're having a 1 year special anniversary on end of May. Yes. So
send us a clip of you saying nice things about our podcast, please. You can find us on Twitter or Instagram at namely90s with a 90s. A tumbleweed just blew past my window.
Is that what that sound was, or is that sound outside my...
there was no sound, but it was a tumbleweed. Oh, I know.
Didn't realize you were on the first floor. Yeah, so we opened it up to friends of the podcast. But yeah, listeners, of course, if you want to send us some audio of you saying, good job, have fun, you should talk about this on a future episode. Hi, I'm whoever from this state, country, and or planet, and I listen to you guys. Contact us.
And stop talking about Sonic. Yeah.
The Hedgehog. Contact us through Twitter or an email that Andrew still hasn't set up. And, you can find it on our website, how to get in touch with us, namely90s.com, on Twitter at namely90s with 90s, and through Instagram with the same handle. Find us.
I feel like we should have a Yahoo email. That seems unofficial.
Yahoo.
Anyway.
I mean, we're a 90s podcast. Shouldn't it be at AOL.com? On the 1st of April.
I'll get my AOL CD out.
Yeah. On the 1st of April, 1990, and this ties into the Sonic girl bending over in front of Andrew and picking up a quarter. It became illegal to be within 2 feet of a nude dancer in Salem, Oregon.
Is that because she might be a witch? Oh, different Salem. Oh, different decade, century, whatever. Sorry.
It feels like the 1690s, doesn't it? On the 4th, Gloria Estefan is released from the hospital after an accident. On the 5th, Paul Newman wins a court victory to allow him to keep giving all his profits from Newman Foods to charity. Yeah, I think it was against someone else in his company because they wanted to be for profit. On the 9th, Kristen Stewart of the Twilight Saga movies is born. She's also in Adventureland, and I think she is in the new Charlie's Angels. On the 15th, Emma Watson, Hermione in Harry Potter, was born. On the 20th, Pete Rose pleads guilty to hiding $300,000 in income. You know that.
You should run for president.
That old chestnut. What? On the 21st, Cartoon All-Stars to the Rescue, a special program warning children about the dangers of drugs and featuring characters from several Saturday morning children's shows, is simultaneously broadcast by ABC, BET, CBS, Fox, NBC, USA Network, and Nickelodeon. On the 25th, the Hubble Space Telescope is placed into orbit by Space Shuttle Discovery. And finally, on the 30th, Alex Trebek wed Jean Caravan, who apparently is a real estate mogul. Was that his final wife? I thought he had more than one. I don't know.
I'm
just spouting. I'm
not an expert on Alex Trebek anymore.
R.I.P. TV premiering and ending on the 6th. Baywatch is canceled after 1 season. It is later resurrected in 1991 as it becomes the most watched show in syndication. On the 30th, My Two Dads ends after 3 seasons. And premiering on the 8th, we have Twin Peaks on ABC. On the 15th, we have In Living Color on Fox. And on the 19th, we have Wings on NBC. Finally, in the box office, not finally, continuing on in the box office, on the 6th, we have Ernest Goes to Jail, which I know is Andrew's favorite childhood movie. On the 13th, The Gods Must Be Crazy 2. And the 20th, we have both Chattahoochee and Miami Blues, 2 movies I've never heard of before. On the Billboard charts for the 3rd week, at number 1, or no, sorry, we're just going to do number ones. On the number 1 for the first week in April of 1990, we have Love Will Lead You Back by Taylor Dayne.
Yes, it will.
On the second week, we have I'll Be Your Everything by Tommy Page. Andrew could see the typo that I had in the notes. And for the 3rd and 4th week in April of 1990, at number 1, we have Nothing Compares to You by Sinead O'Connor.
And now, a reading from the Book of Jewel. I miss your touch. I miss your touch, all taciturn, like the slow migration of birds, nestling momentarily upon my breast, then lifting, silver and quick, sabotaging the landscape with their absence, my skin silent without their song, a thirsty pool of patient flesh. Okay. Thanks, Jewel.
Thanks, Jewel. And now back to the show. So yeah,
wow.
Another 1990 episode. We're known for not being great at these since I was a half and you were 1.
You were a half.
Yeah. No, I was almost 1 at this point.
I have several points. First of all, the thing that happened on the first about being illegal to be within 2 feet of a nude dancer. I was listening to another podcast and they talked about apparently the lap dance was invented in 1980. And I was surprised to hear that it was that late.
Huh. That's
a weird thing to invent. It's like, do you go to that invent help website or phone number and be like, hear me out and just start describing a lap dance? Do you go to the patent office? I'm confused.
Well, that makes sense. While prostitution is the world's oldest profession, as they say,
yes.
The idea of a strip club, now that I think about it, didn't really pop up in pop culture until the 80s. They had chorus girls or what's the burlesque shows prior to that, but that wasn't anything interactive. Interactive,
that's a good way to put it, not just creepy.
No touching. But yeah, that is an interesting tidbit. And another interesting tidbit is that I believe Portland, Oregon has the most vegan strip clubs in the world. I don't know what that means.
Veganism is critically important to me when I'm choosing a strip club, which I've never been to once.
Apparently it's all about the buffet. I've also not been to a strip club before.
They just feel kind of skeezy, and I know they're kind of a thing, but it just seems weird to me. I mean, hey, more power to you if that's what you want to go look at, do whatever. But it's just not something I've ever.
Yeah, we're not putting down sex workers. It's no. I'm
saying it's more about the dudes that go there are a little creepy. And It's just a different mindset. That what do? You just sit there and stare. I just can't. Although if you're a cop, you have to go to strip clubs all the time. Show pictures of perps and stuff. That's a big thing in every cop show. They always have to go to a strip club.
Well, to be fair, the cop shows you watch are based out of Las Vegas.
True. That's a good point. And then the second point that was funny is this thing about Gloria Estefan. Sorry, hold on. The accident, not funny, but for some reason when I read that, I read Jenna Elfman released from hospital after an accident. I was like, then I started thinking about Dharma and Greg again. I don't know why I read that, because Jenna's with a J, and yes. I don't know. Jenna Elfman had a serious accident on the 4th.
I don't know how to help you with that one.
Anyway, yeah. What else was funny? I don't know. That's it. So that's all that jumped out to me.
Yeah. Well, we could talk about the Hubble Space. Oh, sorry. If you want to talk about humor, we could talk real quick about In Living Color.
Okay. The only people I know from that show are David Alan Grier and Jim Carrey.
That's two of the more relevant people.
And David Alan Grier was always hilarious when he was on Loveline, by the way, because he was on Loveline a lot. But yeah, Jim Carrey. It's he's not everyone's favorite, but I do enjoy a lot of his movies. The Mask, of course. Love The Mask.
People think that's where Carmen Diaz got her start. But yeah, Jim Carrey was on In Living Color.
In Living Color. What's the other movie I like from him in the 90s?
Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
I didn't like that one. Liar Liar. I thought that was a fun movie.
You did like Liar Liar. Well, I believe the Wayans brothers and family has to do with In Living Color. So for those of you that don't know, In Living Color is an American sketch comedy television series that originally ran on Fox from April 1990 to May 19th, 1994. Created by Keenan Ivory Wayans, and he also wrote and starred in the program. I actually don't know which one I don't know. Looking at a picture of him right now. But yeah, the other Wayans family members in the show included Damon, Kim, Sean, and Marlon. And Dwayne also frequently appeared as an extra.
The notable people I recognize are Jim Carrey, David Alan Grier. Some of these other people would recognize, but Kim and Sean Wayans. Didn't we talk about Al Chalk before, the announcer guy?
Oh, Al Chalk was the announcer there?
He apparently was. I love that guy's stuff. Keenan Ivory Wayans, Jamie Foxx, Damon Wayans, Carrie Ann Inaba, who's that weird judge from Ballroom Dancing with the Stars, Jennifer Lopez, and the list sort of goes a little bit esoteric from there.
Jamie Foxx was only a cast member in the final season. Well, as a main cast member in this final season, he popped in 96 on season three. Jennifer Lopez got her start as a dancer, and I don't know who Carrie Ann Inaba is, but
she played she's from she played a fly girl. I don't know what that is.
Dancing with the Stars. And then Rosie Perez was the choreographer for the first 4 seasons.
This is a show I wouldn't be surprised if it came back soon, or if they were trying to bring it back, which I think would be kind of cool.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think I've only seen a few episodes, but it is fun to see. Like I don't know. It was an interesting. I don't know where I'm going with this. I think they're one of those. Not. Wow, I'm just going to stumble over my words. I'm trying to think of a hip hop artist that's it's not The Weeknd. It's
I'll be no help. I'm so sorry. I think in the culture of reboots,
yes,
I wouldn't be surprised. But at the same time, sketch comedy is not like as popular for TV as it used to be. But I think it could be, if done appropriately.
I mean, SNL is still going. Technically, but although the reboot of Almost Live really didn't last long.
No, but yeah, it's a Seattle thing. Seattle things never do well.
Bruno Mars, in his music video Finesse, basically stole the entire set to In Living Color as a tribute to it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I never watched it.
I've seen
too young.
Yeah, it was before our time, but I've seen a couple episodes, or at least clips from Jim Carrey when he was on it. So yeah, speaking of things that were before our times, Twin Peaks, we should like that was popular. It came back as a reboot recently. to continue the story. But Twin Peaks, I think it only lasted 1 or 2 seasons at most.
Was it that short?
It got canceled.
But then it developed a cult following.
Yep. Here,
as always.
Here's the entry. Twin Peaks is an American mystery horror drama television series created by Mark Frost and David Lynch. It premiered on ABC in April 8th, 1990, and ran for 2 seasons until its cancellation in 1991. Cult following, and then Showtime released a limited television series in 2017. It is often listed as amongst the greatest television series of all time. And
really?
Yeah. The series follows an investigation headed by FBI Special Agent Dale Cooper, played by Kyle MacLachlan, and local sheriff Harry S. Truman, played by Michael Ontkean, I don't know how to pronounce that, into the murder of homecoming queen Laura Palmer in the fictional town of Twin Peaks, Washington. The show's narrative draws on elements of detective fiction, but its uncanny tone, supernatural elements, and campy melodramatic portrayal of eccentric characters also pays homage to American soap opera and horror tropes. Like much of Lynch's work, it is distinguished by surrealism, offbeat humor, and distinctive cinematography. Yeah, it's definitely strange. I've been meaning to just sit down and watch it, but I've never gotten around to it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I had heard good things as a person who likes the X-Files. I'd heard it was a good sort of, not the same, but had some elements in common, and was a good show for people like that to watch.
I like Kyle MacLachlan. He, like, more recently, I know him from, he was in How I Met Your Mother for a season because he was the husband of someone the main character was trying to get with, which just makes that show sound horribly terrible.
Yeah.
And then he was the mayor in Portlandia.
Okay.
For 10 seasons. He played the mayor of Portland. That was amusing. And then, I think the TV show Psych paid homage to Twin Peaks in one of the episodes of its final season.
Desperate Housewives, which I didn't watch, but
Desperate Housewives.
Sex and the City. This is why he looks familiar, because I've seen him in stuff my wife has watched. He also voiced Donald Love in Grand Theft Auto 3.
Oh yes, that is.
As
you're
a
now listening
Chatterbox
to
guest.
Love. Yeah, you're now listening to Love Media.
Yeah, that's funny. I wouldn't even. That's interesting.
Yeah, no, that's totally his. Wow, I didn't even think about that.
Oh, and then he was in Law and Order SVU, and I think he was like the bad guy.
That makes sense. He always plays like. He always is pegged as an eccentric character.
Yes.
You're listening to a Love Media station.
Whoa, hold on. He also hosted Saturday Night Live in 1990 with musical guest Sinead O'Connor.
Oh,
that is freaky.
That was, it was popular.
It's just freaky that we talked about these things and they were all like on the same episode of SNL. We just talked about sketch comedy, Kyle MacLachlan and Sinead O'Connor. This is ridiculous. That's kind of weird.
I mean, two out of three things make sense because Sinead was
the same episode, man.
Twin Peaks had just premiered, and her song is the #1 hit for the 3rd and 4th week in April.
I'll be underwhelmed with you.
It makes sense that they would be on SNL together at this time.
Indeed.
Now I'm gonna have to look at who was hosting SNL in every future episode. I'll leave that one to you. But yeah, I've heard good things. Never actually seen it.
Twin Peaks.
It's on Netflix. Let us know if you want us to watch it. I don't know. We could also talk about the Hubble Space Telescope.
So is that like an optical telescope? How does that thing work?
The Hubble Space Telescope?
Yeah, because aren't some of them like they more like detect? There's like the radio telescope, but then is this like an actual optical telescope, or does it just interpret data from radiation, or how does it work? Mr. Space.
The Hubble Space Telescope has, I'm pretty sure, 4 different instruments. One's an ultraviolet telescope, one's visible spectrum, one's near infrared, and the other is electromagnetic. So, yes, it is a visible, but it also does beyond that. So yeah, but the Hubble is what's been giving us the photographs of the universe.
How does it beam the data back to Earth? Satellite?
Satellite. It's a satellite.
Right. So yeah, I suppose satellite's pretty reliable.
Yeah, it's. I assume like, it's in some sort of geosynchronous orbit and
microwave type.
It went up in the 90s. We had radio signals back then.
Yeah, I know. I was just trying to think of the way that it would. I mean, a nerd. I'm sorry, nerd.
I mean, more than likely, it's been updated or upgraded in the last 3 decades.
Does someone have to go up there and like spit shine the lens every once in a while?
I believe the lens did get cracked at one point, and they had to replace it.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
That does sound familiar.
Yeah, we can deep dive into the Hubble lens crack next time on Namely 90s.
Oh, yeah. That'll be for our future Patreon subscribers. Yeah. We just do a deep dive.
We talk about cracks and stuff.
It'll be a 6-part miniseries called Hubble. We just talk about cracks.
I bet you that would actually be super interesting, honestly. Like, actually, I'm surprised there isn't a podcast that's a 6-part miniseries about the Hubble telescope. And I bet people would listen to the ass out of that thing.
There probably is, and it's probably put out by NASA. But who knows? Yeah, so yes, there was a flawed mirror. I don't know if we should save this for our future podcast.
Because that's what podcasts are now. It's like some obscure newspaper decides to have a podcast to talk about their like investigative reporting. And then other podcasters who are well-to-do are like, I listened to this podcast. It was really good. And you talk like that, too. You do the NPR voice.
Yes. In April of 1990, the Hubble Space Telescope was put into orbit around the planet Earth.
I have no journalistic capabilities and also can't speak on a microphone. So I'm not sure that's going to work for us very well.
What do you mean you can't speak on a microphone?
I feel like
what is this? What is right in front of you?
But I can't read aloud. Like I'm bad at reading aloud, and there's a lot of reading aloud in these prepared podcasts. You know,
yeah.
I just say stupid crap here. It's easy.
It wouldn't be easier to have a script in front of you.
It might, frankly.
Speaking of scripts, I wanted to talk about Wings before we go. Did you ever watch Wings? Do you remember Wings?
No. I know Wings, it was about pilots.
It's an American sitcom television series that ran for 8 seasons on NBC. Yeah. It's set in the fictional Tom Neversfield Airport in Nantucket, Massachusetts. And there's 2 brothers that own and operate a Sandpiper Air with a single airplane that they do chartered flights from. Tony Shalhoub was in it, if I remember correctly.
Oh.
And it was created by the people that created Cheers and later did Frasier. So it crossed over into that universe every once in a while, or that universe crossed over into Wings, because I'm pretty sure there's an episode where like Frasier and Neris, or not Neris, that was Niles' wife, Frasier and his first wife with the black hair, like came through the airport and were like, they had a whole episode with Frasier, which was fun. Like I watched this all in syndication. Oh, yeah. They had it on TBS for a while. But yeah, let's see. Cliff and Norm came through on the season 2 episode. Frasier and Lilith came through in a season 3 episode. Rebecca Howe has a cameo.
So A lot of people traveling to Nantucket then?
Apparently, Cheers is set in Boston, so that's not too much of a stretch.
You wouldn't like connect through Nantucket though.
It might have been a cheaper flight.
So it must have been their final destination. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, maybe you're right. Okay.
Yeah.
Small regional airport.
Yeah. It's I don't know the geography of Massachusetts, but it could have been a better airport to fly out of. Yeah.
Wow.
That's
Wings.
Yeah. Wings. That's all I remember.
All I know is I remember it because of a Family Guy reference to Wings that Quagmire makes.
Yeah.
Do you guys know Wings?
Yeah. Exactly. I almost devolved into that.
I don't remember Wings.
Yeah, you don't remember Wings?
8 seasons? Jeez, that's a long time.
Yeah. The reruns are on all the time on TBS too. I don't know. Should we talk about cartoon? We're over by a few minutes, but
TBS, also known as total bullshit.
Should we just touch on Cartoon All Stars to the rescue for one final fun farewell?
Let's.
So, do you remember the 80s?
I do remember the 80s. Yes.
Do you remember after school specials?
I do. In fact, I referenced that today in a meeting.
So, think Dare, think early 90s. They were very apt to not have kids on drugs for some reason, which
was the war on drugs, that whole thing. We won't get into that.
That makes sense because it's this. So the Cartoon All Stars to the Rescue is a crossover financed by McDonald's and Ronald McDonald's Charities, simulcast across all those different networks I mentioned earlier, and also released on VHS with an introduction from President George H.W. Bush and First Lady Barbara Bush and their dog Millie. So what it was the plot chronicles the exploits of Michael, a young teenage boy who is using marijuana as well as stealing and drinking alcohol. His younger sister Corey is constantly worried about him because he started acting differently, which also becomes a concern for his parents, who are also starting to notice his changes. When Corey's piggy bank goes missing one morning, her cartoon tie-in toys come to life to help her find it. After discovering it in Michael's room along with his stash of drugs, the cartoon characters proceed to work together to do an intervention and take him on a fantastic journey to teach him the risks and consequences of a life of drug abuse can bring. The characters included Garfield as a lamp. The theft is witnessed by Papa Smurf. Alf, because Alf was a cartoon after being a 70s TV series, I guess.
Yeah.
Baby Kermit was an alarm clock. Winnie the Pooh was a stuffed animal. Okay. And Alvin and the Chipmunks were from a record sleeve. Oh, and Slimer, who was in the Ghostbusters cartoon series, the green Slimer ghost, just existed for some reason. Yeah. Wow. There were also Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck, DuckTales, Huey, Louie, and Dewey, Baby Kermit, Baby Piggy, Baby
Huey Lewis in the News. I was like, and now a special appearance by Huey Lewis in the News. that would have put the
it
power
together.
Of drugs.
Winnie the Pooh and Tigger, Brainy Smurf, Papa Smurf, and Hefty Smurf, which is strange, and Michelangelo from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They went all out.
So I feel like just like Dare and this, their heart was in the right place.
True.
But well regarded to be highly ineffective, at least Dare. And basically is sort of questioned now as to whether that was really the right move. It's like the whole refraining from things and just saying no, while an easy message to send, unfortunately, almost makes people more curious.
Yeah.
In a way. I don't know the data on it, but I know a lot of people who are familiar with the war on drugs and how that plays in with current events as far as, equal rights and things, is there are some real problems with some of that messaging. And I don't know enough about it to speak intelligently, but
well, there's a community quote where they're putting on don't do drugs play for a local middle school or something. And one of the characters plays like this made me turn to drugs when I was a kid.
It's unfortunate, but it's kind of true. So, hey, you can listen to our 6-part miniseries on the ineffective DARE campaign. No, I don't know. I'm sorry. We're not doing any miniseries. Don't get your hopes up.
That's not exactly true.
I'm gonna do my
I'm working on it.
True crime miniseries, and you're gonna do your miniseries of miniseries. It's a miniseries on miniseries. I think I'm dying.
No, well, if you're interested in what our 6-part miniseries will be, we'll tease it, or we'll officially announce it if we're doing it in our 1-year anniversary spectacular. But for now, this has been Rewind. My name is B. Schwitty, and I will catch you next time. No, sorry,
oh, shoot.
Wrong show. But that is it for this week's edition of Namely 90s. Remember, you can find new episodes out every Monday. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Namely 90s with a 90s, or find our personal accounts at B. Schwitty and at Namely Andrew on Twitter, and tell us what you want us to talk about on future episodes. You could also contact us through our website, namely90s.com, which is where you can send your audio good jobs for making it through a year if you want to. I'm sure there's some way to do that there. And please subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Dare, Deezer, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and wherever you get your podcasts from. I'm Andrew. No, I'm not. I'm Brandon, and that's Andrew. And we will catch you next time.
Hey, you want to go get some Sonic?